All right, guys, welcome to the final video in this module for mobile web applications. We're going to get into the weekly learning week 1 section here, and we're going to actually get our hands on with some coding of our very first mobile web application. Now, it won't be installable right away, and it won't be a PWA right away. That takes a little bit of work, and we're going to have to talk a bit more about what a service worker is and what a manifest.json file is. But we can still build a mobile web application pretty easily. So we're going to go into the weekly learning folder here on Blackboard so you guys can see where I'm going into week 1. Now, lab 1 is going to be uploading a screenshot of your Lighthouse audit on a website of your choice. Remember, not on the websites I showed the examples of. And then you're also going to upload a screenshot of your PWA working. Now, so I know you're going to put your name in the title of the PWA or in a header or a little paragraph tag so that I know it's your website, okay? So this is a link to a Lighthouse scoring calculator. You can just take a look at it. It's kind of cool. You can see how it affects your metric score of how a PWA actually gets rated. And then there's also this Lighthouse report viewer. So this is kind of another helpful look at how it rates and scores different things so you can see. Cool. Now, I just want to show you guys what else? The week 1 PowerPoint. So where we left off last was basically right here. Let's build a simple PWA. This is wrong. We're not building a PWA right away. We're building a web app, but we're not going to make it progressive just yet, okay? So this is going to be the first section of code that we can build. Now, I already have the entire thing written here, so you can pause the video, but I'm just going to describe or explain, just as a refresher, if you want to type while we do this, a refresher, a little bit about what we're doing. So this is declaring that the document is going to be HTML. Now, everything has to go inside this HTML tag. The head, okay, which everything is inside this head tag and tabbed in, is going to be where all our metadata is. So if you think about a book, it's like the very beginning of the book where you have the content and the title page and who the author is and the table of contents. That's going to be what this is. You've got your title, you've got where your manifest.json file is. Remember, I talked about that a little bit earlier. We've got our style sheet reference, so where's our style and CSS coming from, and then a viewport tag to make sure that it's correctly scaled for the view. Now, inside the body, okay, you can follow along in the PowerPoint. This is what we want to type in the body here. Next, we're going to define the body of the page. We create a title and a button to add an item to a list. Okay, so we're going to be making a really simple to-do list app here. I'm not going to be typing it and doing this all along. You guys can do that while you want and pause the video. I don't think you need to watch more of me, as you've probably already watched a lot of me today. So you can pause the video, go back. I'm just going to describe it as we go through it. But basically, we're going to have a header here, which is the title in an H1 tag, and then a button with a class of button wrapper, and that's going to be our add item button. And then we're going to have our to-do list with list items in it, and then we're going to give a class of odd and even. Now, what the class is going to do is it's going to allow us to apply different CSS attribute properties in terms of color so that we can differentiate between the styling of an odd and an even to-do list item. All right, and at the very bottom, we reference our script file. You always want to do it at the end so that the first part of the page can load, and then the scripts that affect the HTML elements are already loaded. The HTML elements are already loaded before the scripts affect them. Cool. So the next thing we want to do is we want to create a style.css file. Okay, so right here I've got my index.html, and then we're also going to have a style.css file. I'm just going to open up mine here so you can see the whole thing as an example in Sublime. I'm using Sublime as my text editor. You can use Notepad++, and you can use Visual Studio Code. So this is the very first thing. We're affecting .app. So we're going to make the minimum height 100 VH. We're going to display it in flex, justify content space between flex direction column, and align items in the center of the page. Okay, the rest of these are going to be for our header tags, our button wrapper, our button, our to-do list items, our list items, adding some margin. This is going to be for our list items that are inside of the div, and then this is for our class odd and our class even. You can see we're just applying a different color to the background attribute. Okay, so this is called a selector. All right, and then this is going to be the attribute that we're affecting on that selector. Okay, so you can find the code for that also here in the PowerPoint. If I went too fast for you, you can pause it right here and just add this code to your style.css, okay? That's what I named this, all inside of one folder, okay? So we've got two files. We've got index.html we've created, and it looks like this, and we've got style.css, and it looks like this. All right, our next and final document that we're going to be making, not final, sorry, but our next document we're going to be making is something called script.js. Now, script.js is going to be what has our JavaScript in it. Now, you can see in the PowerPoint, I'm going to go to the next slide. This is the JavaScript code that we're going to add, adding task functionality using just vanilla JavaScript, plain JavaScript. Now, a web app is something that runs on the web as an app, and usually the code we do to run it, to do that, is JavaScript. And in this case, it's vanilla JavaScript until we get to learning React, which is React JavaScript. It's just a little bit different. So to add JavaScript functionality to the item, we first bind a JavaScript function with the click of the button. So basically here, we've got a click of a button, and we're binding a function to that click. So .add event listener, click right there. Cool. That's then going to add a div element to the list of items. So you can see right here, it's going to add .createElement div. So it's going to create that on the list of items. This class is going to be set to odd. We're doing modulus here, which is a little bit of math. We're taking the length of that list and we're doing modulus 2. So basically, if it is divisible by 2 and that equals 0, then we will apply the even class. If not, we're going to apply the odd class. This is called a ternary operator if you want to look it up. It's really useful. It's shorthand code, but it's basically an if this, then else that. Okay, so if this is divisible by 2, then it's going to be even. All right. Then what we're going to do is set it to odd or even based on how many items are present in the list when the button is clicked. Cool. Next thing we need to do is generate a manifest for our file. So you can do that at this web address right here. We've created a responsive web app with just a few progressive features, but we need to add a critical element to it, which is the manifest. You can use an online manifest generator, or you can create it yourself. Basically, you're just typing in the metadata of your application. So if I click this, you'll be brought to a page. Can I click it? Oh, I don't think I can click it just in here right now. But you basically can type in the information yourself, or you can create something that looks like this. Just open it up in Sublime. So it is a longer file, and you can see it might take a little bit to load. But if I just go to my PowerPoint here and I X out of it, type this into our browser, then you can see you can just type in your app name here, your short name, the theme color, the background color, browser, and then whatever icons in here. And then this is going to be the file that's generated. You can copy, or you can actually generate a zip and download it. But that's just basically here, name, short name, theme color, background color. It just auto generates it into a file that you can easily copy. All right, so that is basically it. That's all you need, and then you're going to end up with a folder that looks something like this. So you're going to have your index.html, manifest.json, scripts, and styles. Now, the manifest.json, it's not necessary that you actually have it working right now, but it will be in the future for us to make a PWA. So you could just run it with these three, the index, the script, and the style. Now, you won't have a .git folder because you don't have yours on GitHub, and I don't think you need these images. I just put them in there because my manifest, as you can see, is referencing icons, and then I am referencing my icons in the images folder. Now you won't have those, so you don't need to have an images folder. Now if I run this and I go to my web browser, it should look something like this. Now you can put your name right in here, so it says Ben's to-do list, or whatever your name is, so that I know it's yours. Screenshot this, add a couple items. You can see they're working. Item 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And you know, we've got a web app. It's actually working. If I hit F12, right, it's going to actually be responsive a little bit. It's not perfect yet, but it's going to be responsive and it's going to work on mobile as well and rotate. So send me a screenshot of that. Send me a screenshot of your Lighthouse audit. Go back and pause this video if you need to get some of the code. It's also in the PowerPoint if you want to take it at your own speed and download. But that is lab 1. Thank you for following along, everyone. I hope you guys enjoyed today's lesson, and I'm looking forward to next week as we dive deeper into creating PWAs. Thanks, guys.